What's up, guys? It's Matt with BleepinJeep. I've been working on the Scorpion Crawler project here for the last couple of days, finishing up with the quarter panel armor. We've got the rock skidder, which is incorporated into the body here, and then I've got the Boatsides, which is incorporated into the floorboard. So I thought I was doing pretty good until I realized I have to do that all over again on the driver's side. So in this video, we're going to do all this over there. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is weld the side of the Jeep back on over here. To do that, I've just ground all the paint off right here so it's nice and paint free. That'll make a good welding surface. And it's probably 1.5 inches wide right here. I've got probably 1 inch wide on the piece we're going to put on there. First we're going to drill some holes, and then we'll just do a bunch of tack welds inside those holes. So here's the piece we're welding on. I've taken the paint off of this side too. Now I'm just going to put some 1/4 inch holes. I'm just going to eyeball where I think those should go. We're going to do those every couple inches. I'll put some more on the ends just to make those a little stronger. Alright, well there you go. Now I've got holes all down this thing. Now I'm just going to grind the other side, make sure it's smooth, there's no burrs on there, and then we'll go put it on. Okay guys, so despite using bungee cords up here, I am still going around measuring everything. I'm not just placing stuff willy-nilly, as some of you might believe. When the camera's off, I'm taking measurements, so everything is looking good. We're at 87.5 degrees right here, which is exactly where that side was. When I set up the frame, I also used a plumb bob from the roof, make sure everything was square. I've also checked right here, not only is this at the correct angle this way, but this is exactly placed so that it's the same distance as that one away from the frame. So everything's looking good. I can go ahead and tack this side, then I'll go tack the front side, and then we'll go and tack all of the little tacks in between, and this thing will be stuck. So I made a few tacks here and there just to hold it down. Now let me show you what I did on the other side. I'm going to do it on this side as well. If the metal is not perfectly contacting each other, some of it's off a little bit like this where the hole is. In that case, I'm just going to take a hammer, pound it down until it fits. Once those metals are close, I can go ahead and tack it. If I still need a little persuasion, what I can do is take my hammer and just kind of lean into it while I weld it. Now that we're all tacked in, let's take the bungee cords off and we'll see where we stand. I can't get it off. Okay, we are right at 87.5 still. It can still move back and forth a little bit, but all that will be taken care of later on with bracing and tubing. Plus, on right over here in a minute, we're going to weld a bunch of plates to the front side of it, which will hold that side in. Okay, now real quick, let me tell you about this piece of steel here. I know that I need 1/4 inch so that it's not going to bend when I hit the rocks underneath. But I didn't want the weight of 1/4 inch, so what I did was I took 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch 2x6. I cut them both in half and I welded the 1/8 inch on top and the 1/4 inch on bottom. Now that saves me some weight. It'll be 3/4 the weight that it would have been if I would have used 1/4 inch. Now that's not a whole lot, but like I said before, every little weight savings counts. Once you start adding this whole thing together, if you can save, 10 pounds here, 10 pounds there, it's going to make a big difference. So that's what I've got going on here. Now we're getting close, but before I just go ahead and weld all this in, let me show you something. This is the seat bracket for the stock Cherokee, and I decided I'm going to use this. We're going to have aftermarket seats in here, but I'll fab that up to work with this stock seat bracket. Because it's already plumbed in and ready to go, I won't have to do a whole lot of additional fabricating. But the one thing I do need to do, the seat bracket now is below where the floor is going to sit. So if I can cut this now, I'll save a lot of time trying to figure it out later on down the road. Now let me show you how I do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and bolted the seat in. There's nothing supporting this side, so I've put some wood and some shims to make sure it's level. And I've put my level here and leveled it up. Now the floor is going to sit right about here, but you can't just eyeball it. So in the past I've showed you a trick using shadows and a light. This is the same trick, just using a laser. I've got one of these laser levels, and it's got two options. You got a point, and you turn it, and you've got this crosshairs. So what you're going to do is put your laser level in plane with what you're working on here. So that just means the laser level is sitting right about where the floor is going to be here. You can use this on all kinds of stuff. It really comes in handy once you learn this trick. So the next thing I'm going to do is line up, see this laser line right here? I'm going to line that up on the floor on this side. Now that's going to be where I'm going to weld a piece of steel on this side over here. And then it's going to come across and touch the bottom of this 2x4. So I'm going to make sure that I've got a line on this side touching, and the other end of that line is touching the bottom of my 2x6 piece of steel right where I want it. Once I get both of those in the correct spot, you can see that's where the floor is going to come across. It's hard to get my hands in there without blocking the laser. That's where the floor is going to come across, right there. And I've already gone ahead and marked it with a Sharpie. There's no way you could figure that out just by guessing. It would take you a lot of tries and you'd probably get it wrong. But with the laser level, you can tell exactly where it's going to be. Let me show you the other side and I'll show you how exact I got it. So here's the seat bracket on the other side. That's where I cut it. You can see it's really close to where the floor is sitting. On the front, I just went ahead, marked it too, but instead of cutting it, I bent it so that we can still utilize that hole. On this side, I'll probably weld a piece of steel here and have a hole drilled in it so I can bolt that down too. Alright, let's talk about this real quick. A lot of people will ask me why I use an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel when I have a plasma cutter. Well, plasma cutter is great for cutting thick steel, long straight lines, but anytime I have sheet metal or I've got something with a lot of these funky curves, I find it a lot easier just to use a cutoff wheel. For instance, if I was going to try to do this, I would have to hand hold it. I'd have to come around on this side, then I'd have to turn this way, then I'd have to come around, then I'd have to go up like this, but plasma cutter would get in the way right there, be all screwed up. With the cutoff wheel, all I have to do, make sure I hold it straight. I'm just going to start here, go across, and I'll know that I'll have a solid straight line. Alright, so the next step is to make templates. We're going to fill in the floor right here with 1/4 inch. Now this part is not very much fun. The good news is that my templates from the opposite side should work on this side just by flipping them over. That is, if I've measured and cut everything right. So for the first one, it's looking pretty good. All I need to do is cut this out in 1/4 inch and then fit and trim and fit, and then we'll do this sections at a time. Now it's about 70 inches long. There's a kink in the middle of the frame right here, so there's no way I could possibly do this with just one solid piece. So we're going to cut it up into about 4 sections, I think, and once we get them all tacked in there, we'll go ahead and weld them all together. Okay, so this is where a plasma cutter comes in handy. I generally find a piece of flat stock like this. We're just going to lay it on the line, about 1/4 inch off the line. Then we're going to use our plasma cutter and just follow this flat stock. Now that was certainly a whole lot easier than using this. Now when you see those sparks shoot up instead of down like that, that means it didn't cut all the way through. I was probably going too fast or something like that. But sometimes that's handy because it keeps it from falling on your foot whenever you're done. Then all you do is you just bend it a little bit and it'll break off. Now what you have to do is clean that up. I believe that's called dross. I'm not that sure, but just take a flap wheel, clean that up, and we'll be good to go. Okay, here it is. Wouldn't it be awesome if it fit perfect the first time? And it does. No, I'm just joking. I'm not even wearing the same clothes. So that's the power of movie magic right there. It actually fits horrible. I've been back and forth trying to get it to fit. Still won't fit. I probably should have made a new template for this side instead of trying to use the old one from over there. But I think what I'm going to do is just weld it real good on this one side and use my jack to bend it up. You can't really see from there, but there's a big gap over here. It doesn't want to go up. It's probably an inch away from this piece just on this corner, but it fits good on all the other corners. So I'll just I'll weld it up, tack it up, and then bend this up in place. Hopefully it'll fit then. If not, we'll just start over. Yay! Alright, so that introduces one more problem, and that is I'm using both my jacks to hold this thing up. I need to free up the jacks, so I'm just going to go ahead and weld this on. That way I can take the jacks out. Alright, so let me see if I can explain welding thick to thin. It can be complicated, but basically what you want to think about it like is I'm welding onto this thick material down here. I'm not actually welding to the sheet metal. So I'm just making a puddle along this thick piece, and as soon as it builds up, I'm going to circle around and it's going to melt into the sheet steel, and then I'm just going to keep going. So I just think of it like I'm not actually welding to the sheet metal, I'm just welding next to it, but it gets so hot that eventually it just kind of pulls it in. So I'm going to keep going around here. Let's see if I can get the settings right on the camera so you can see it. Well, unfortunately there I messed up right at the beginning because I really needed my head over here where the camera's at. But I've corrected over here. Hopefully you could see after I corrected, especially down in this part, how that worked. So as far as settings go, I have my machine turned all the way down to the minimum. It's on the, I don't have voltages on this machine, but it's a Millermatic 185. And it's set down to 1 on the voltage, which is the lowest setting, and then 0 on the wire feed speed, which is the lowest setting. And it's kind of cold, but the reason it works is because I'm just holding it there and keeping it hot until it's ready to merge over. I'm also using argon CO2 mixture, and I'm using 030 wire. Okay, so now you can see right here there's a pretty good gap, and what I'm going to try to do here is I'm just going to build a bead up down here and get that gap smaller before I weld it. So let's see if I can do that. I'll go ahead and turn the camera setting so you can see it. Now the trick is to make sure you can see really well and be comfortable, which I'm not. and have your machine on, which it's not. There we go. Alright, you probably couldn't see very well there because my gun was in the way, but I just built that up. Now you can see the gap is a lot smaller. I probably need to build up one more row about halfway across here, and then I'll be able to match them up. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're probably thinking, well, that's not a very strong weld. Well, you're right. This is just sheet metal. We're doing this just to close this up for so water doesn't get in here and mud and that kind of thing. This isn't structural. This is obviously just sheet metal. Structural part's going to be the tubing and all that gets welded to this piece. Alright, I think we got it. Let's see if I can get it to close up. Now if it starts burning through, go ahead and stop, and if you catch fire on the other side, put it out. Kind of stupid flammable stuff over there. Alright, so when you're burning through, start just doing tack welds. That'll allow it to cool down between. Alright, well, I made a complete mess of that, but it just goes to show that preparation is key. If that would have been perfect spot on preparation like it is over here, it would look really nice. But when you have to start filling gaps and crap like that, you end up with booger welds like that. Luckily this isn't going to be seen. It's going to be part of the inside of the fender here, but yeah. Looks like crap. But the water won't get in, so that's good. Alright, so I went ahead and did the back side too here. Looks a little funky on camera, but looks pretty good in person. It does look a lot better than the other side, and the reason is, like I said before, the fitment. This was perfectly flush with this thing. There wasn't any gaps, and that can make it look a ton better. One other thing I wanted to mention though that is I used a friend's welder the other day, and you'd think I was the worst welder in the world. So the welder, having a good welder makes all the difference too. So the proper tools. To recap, basically all we're doing is we're welding on that thick stuff, and we're just making either a E's, cursive E's, or you can just make a loop like a U, like we're doing a bunch of U's. And as soon as that puddle gets hot, you just move it over and it'll melt right into the sheet metal, and then you just continue along. So anyway, I'm not a professional welder at all. I'm not trying to teach you guys what to do or what not to do. I'm just showing you how I did this on my Jeep here. Alright, before I weld this up, I just wanted to show you guys. I was able to make this work. I've got the jack sitting up there. The whole Jeep is fully supported, pushing this 1/4 inch plate into place. Just barely goes. The whole Jeep is actually teetering just on that one jack right there. So let's weld it up. going to do more than just a couple of tacks so that it doesn't break free. I think I'll go right here. See what happens when I drop it. Cool. So that first piece is in. Now all I need to do is use these templates. This is the template for the other side. It fits okay, although it's a little short. It needs about a 1/2 inch on this corner here. Now I know you guys like to see everything, but I really need to get some work done here, and this videoing slows me down quite a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up with the templates. I'm just going to basically do the same thing I did here with the templates, cutting, fitting, and I'm going to fit it all the way back to the end, and I'll catch up with you then. Alright guys, so check it out. After that first piece, I put all these other ones in. They went in a lot easier than that first one with minimal grinding, and it looks pretty good. Let's take a look and see how we did on our seat bracket. I don't know if you can see that, but where we marked with the laser earlier, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close, better than I could do if I were to just guess. So I think next I will take a piece of metal, weld that on there, and then we'll drill some holes later on for the seat brackets. Let me check. I'm just going to show you though that this is it's level, so that's good. And right now I need to do the tedious work of welding all this up. So I'm going to turn the machine up, weld it real hot here for the 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch. Then I'll come in and weld the sheet metal closed so that water and dirt and grime won't get down in here. And I was trying to think of some questions that you guys would probably have, and one of those is why I used 1/4 inch for my floorboards. Well, not only are these my floorboards, but it's actually Boatsides too. If you look underneath here and around it, you'll notice that what Boatsides are is kind of like an extra protection. It's kind of like an extra rock slider, and it goes from the rock slider to the frame, and not only does it act as a slider, but it also, like when you hit a rock on it, instead of punching up into your floorboard or whatever, it's supposed to just slide right over the rock and off of it, instead of catching on all the other things that would normally be down there. So a lot of people will put I don't know what the material is, but it's kind of like a material like a cutting board would be made out of. A lot of people will take that and actually screw that to their sliders because it's a lot more slippery than let's say if you were to use aluminum or steel. That stuff is real slick. So I'm probably not going to do that, but just wanted to tell you what Boatsides were if you're not familiar with that. So that's why I used 1/4 inch. I really struggled whether I should use 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, but in the end I decided there's no going back and redoing this, so I wanted to go ahead and do 1/4 inch. I think that's where I'm going to end the video. I'm just going to weld this up. That's probably pretty boring, but I also need to get to work and stop messing around with the camera. But I appreciate you guys watching, and check out the website BleepinJeep.com. Check out our t-shirts too. You can find those on the website under the store section. We've got all kinds of great stuff for you there. Hope you learned something today. We'll see you next time.